Stop for a moment. Look around you. The world you've been living in isn't what it seems. Since childhood, you've been spoon-fed illusions dressed up as wisdom, lies whispered by teachers, by parents, by leaders who never wanted you to see how the game is truly played. They didn't want clarity. They wanted compliance. Niccolo Machiavelli warned us centuries ago, power isn't given, it's seized. And yet here you are, holding empty promises in your hands, believing the world owes you a fair chance, believing that life will reward your patience, your honesty, your authenticity. Lies, all of them. And the worst part, you probably still cling to them as if they're sacred truths. But tonight, I'm going to tear them apart, one by one. And when I'm finished, you'll never look at your own life the same way again. You'll see why others command respect while you struggle in silence, why some carve kingdoms while others rot in waiting rooms. And you'll understand the ruthless truth. You've been living in chains made of words, not steel. Let's start with the most seductive lie of them all, the one that sounds sweet, harmless, even empowering. Just be yourself, and people will like you. How many times have you heard it? From parents who wanted to comfort you, from friends who didn't want you to change, from society preaching authenticity as if mediocrity is a virtue. But here's the truth. There is no single version of you. There are many. The lazy you, the disciplined you, the fearful, the confident, the distracted, the focused. Which self are they telling you to be? The truth is, most people default to their weakest self, the version that requires no effort, no risk, no discomfort. They mistake that for authenticity. But authenticity without growth is just another word for laziness. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He understood that identity is a weapon. You get to choose which version of yourself steps onto the battlefield of life. And the version you choose will determine whether doors open for you or slam in your face. Think of two versions of you. One shows up late, avoids confrontation, hides from responsibility. The other arrives early, owns mistakes, stares problems in the eye. Both are you. But only one will ever build anything worth remembering. And yet, society tells you that the weaker one is the more authentic, the one you should cling to in the name of self-acceptance. No, that's not authenticity. That's self-sabotage. The stronger version, the disciplined version, the one that takes action even when uncomfortable. That is authenticity refined, sharpened, weaponized. The highest version of yourself. And yes, that version will make people uncomfortable. The version that draws lines will repel those who love to cross them. The version that speaks with authority will irritate those who preferred your silence. The version that demands results will intimidate those content with mediocrity. And that's exactly why you must become it. Power isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about aligning with the right people and repelling the wrong ones. That's not weakness. It's selection. Do you think Caesar conquered Gaul by just being himself? Do you think the great rulers of history bowed to the comfort of their lesser selves? No. They reinvented, they sharpened. They chose the version of themselves that would dominate, even if it meant abandoning the version that others found more likable. And so must you. Stop hiding behind authenticity as an excuse for stagnation. Stop confusing comfort with truth. The self that got you here will not get you there. To rise, you must become a different self. One forged in fire, one that others may fear but will never forget. Drop the mask of comfort. Choose the version of you that earns power. That is authenticity. That is survival. Now let's move to the second lie, the one that has trapped more dreamers than any other. Good things come to those who wait. How noble it sounds. How virtuous. Wait your turn. Be patient. The universe will reward you. But here's what this poison really means. Sit down, shut up, and let others take what should have been yours. While you wait for the stars to align, someone else is moving with imperfect timing and perfect aggression. While you tell yourself that patience is a virtue, another is campaigning for the promotion, launching the business, claiming the territory you thought fate would deliver. Every day you wait is another day they advance. Every tomorrow you promise yourself is a weapon in their hands. And when you finally stand to move, you'll discover the feast has already been eaten. You're left with scraps. If that Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved," he wasn't glorifying cruelty. He was warning against passivity. Waiting for others to notice you, to choose you, to love you, is a losing strategy. Respect doesn't come to the quiet waiter in the corner. Respect comes to the one who steps forward, demands recognition, forces the world to look. Picture this. Two candidates apply for the same position. One is more qualified but waits politely. The other is less qualified but follows up, networks, demonstrates value. Who wins? Not the one who waited. Opportunity doesn't reward patience. It rewards pressure, action, boldness. The truth is brutal. The world doesn't keep score of how long you've been patient. Time owes you nothing. Life doesn't balance the scales. Good things don't come to those who wait. They come to those who move, who take, who bleed for them. While you're waiting for permission, someone else is writing history. While you're waiting for clarity, someone else is creating reality. And when you finally open your eyes, you'll realize the greatest tragedy. Not that you failed, but that you never even tried. This is why you must cultivate a bias for action. Launch before you're ready. Step forward before you're asked. Fail faster than others are willing to begin. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Action creates clarity. Action builds leverage. Action is the antidote to waiting. The worst thing that can happen is you fall. And even in falling, you'll learn what the passive never will. Ask yourself this. Would you rather be the person who risked rejection, or the one who never even asked? Would you rather die standing on the battlefield, or rot in the waiting room of life? The answer should burn inside you, because the clock is ticking, and your waiting has already cost you more than you know. But the third lie is even subtler, and it eats away at you not in silence, but in how you treat others. Everyone deserves respect. How sweet, how democratic, how false. Respect is not a participation trophy. Respect is earned, not handed out like candy. When you believe this lie, you cheapen yourself. You devalue your standards. You train the world to walk over you. Imagine a boardroom of 10 people, 5 titans who built their success brick by brick, and 5 who coasted on nepotism and politics. If you give them all the same level of respect, what message do you send? That achievement means nothing. That value doesn't matter. That mediocrity sits on the same throne as excellence. And if that's the message you broadcast, no one will take you seriously. Not the greats, not the frauds, not anyone. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you are." Appearances shape perception, and when you respect those who haven't earned it, you appear weak. Discerning leaders are not cruel, but they are selective. They are polite to all, respectful to few. And in that discrimination lies their authority. When people realize your respect is not free, they work to earn it. They strive to rise to your standards. They value your approval because it is rare. But if you give it freely, it becomes worthless. You cannot command authority if you treat kings and beggars as equals, so reserve your respect. Not as cruelty, but as currency. Treat everyone with baseline decency, but save your admiration for those whose actions demand it. Watch carefully. Do they honor commitments? Do they create value, or simply consume it? Do they take responsibility, or shift blame? In these patterns lies the answer. Respect is power, and power wasted on the unworthy is power you'll never get back. Stop giving it away cheaply. Protect it as you would protect your crown. And now we come to the last and most poisonous illusion of them all. The velvet noose around your neck. The whisper that makes slaves out of kings. Everything happens for a reason. How comforting it sounds. How spiritual. How wise. And how completely destructive. Because the moment you believe it, you surrender the most dangerous weapon you possess. Responsibility. You tell yourself that the universe is in charge, that fate is guiding the wheel, that some invisible hand is writing your story while you sit back and wait for the plot to unfold. But Machiavelli never bowed to fate. He spat in its face. He wrote, "I am not interested in preserving the status quo. I want to overthrow it." He knew that the belief in destiny is the enemy of power, because once you accept that everything is predetermined, you stop fighting, you stop shaping, you stop becoming. You hand the pen of your life to forces that do not care if you live or die. Look around you. How many people are trapped in this lie right now? They lose a job and sigh, "It wasn't meant to be." They're rejected and murmur, "The universe has another plan." Their business collapses and they shrug, "I guess it happened for a reason." But behind every one of those phrases is the same truth. Cowardice. A refusal to analyze, to learn, to adapt, to strike again. Instead of responsibility, they choose resignation. Instead of improvement, they choose excuses. And so, they remain stuck, spinning in circles, praying for reasons instead of hunting for results. Real power doesn't wait for meaning to reveal itself. It creates meaning by force. When something goes wrong, the powerful don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "What can I do next? What can I learn? What action must I take now?" They see failure not as divine intervention, but as feedback, a brutal teacher pointing the way forward. That is the difference between those who rise and those who remain broken. The weak see fate. The strong see cause and effect. The weak wait for signs. The strong make moves. The weak cling to destiny. The strong manufacture destiny with their hands, their words, their blood. Think about it. If everything happens for a reason, then nothing is your fault. Your procrastination wasn't laziness. It was destiny. Your lack of preparation wasn't negligence. It was fate. Your failures weren't caused by your choices. They were simply written in the stars. And if that's true, why try at all? Why improve? Why take risks? Why do anything other than wait for the universe to unfold its plan? That is why this lie is the most dangerous of them all. Because it doesn't just rob you of power. It convinces you to smile while you hand it over. But here is the Machiavellian truth. The universe does not care. There is no grand design pulling strings for your benefit. There's only cause, effect, and willpower. Your decisions create consequences. Your actions shape outcomes. Your standards build your reality. And if you do not like your reality, there is only one response. Change it. Not by praying, not by waiting, not by searching for hidden reasons, by seizing responsibility, no matter how heavy it feels, and bending life into the shape you demand. You are not a puppet of fate. You are the puppeteer, if only you choose to pick up the strings. And now that we've stripped away the mask from this final illusion, you can see the pattern. All four lies serve the same master. All four whisper the same poison. Stay small, stay passive, stay weak. Just be yourself. Keeps you comfortable, trapped in your laziest form. Good things come to those who wait. Keeps you motionless, letting others overtake you. Everyone deserves respect, drains your standards, making you bow before the unworthy. And everything happens for a reason, kills your responsibility, turning you into an observer of your own life. Together, these lies form the perfect prison. A prison without bars, a prison you build yourself, and the key has been in your pocket the entire time. Do you understand now why you've struggled while others rise? It isn't luck. It isn't bloodlines. It isn't divine blessings. It's clarity. They saw through the fog. They understood the rules. While you believed in patience, they believed in pressure. While you handed out respect, they withheld it until earned. While you were being yourself, they were sculpting themselves into weapons. While you waited for reasons, they created outcomes. That is why they sit on thrones while you kneel in the dust. Not because they were chosen, but because they chose. And you must choose too, because now you have no excuse. You've seen behind the curtain. You've seen the machinery that's been grinding you down. You've seen the lies for what they are. And once seen, they cannot be unseen. You can return to your old patterns if you wish. You can go back to waiting, to giving respect freely, to being your weakest self, to blaming fate. But know this, if you do, you will suffer more than before, because now you'll know the truth, and you'll be choosing chains over freedom with your eyes wide open, and that is the cruelest fate of all. But there is another path, the path of the prince, the path of clarity, of discipline, of relentless action. Imagine what your life would look like if you lived this way. No more waiting, only seizing. No more empty respect, only standards. No more weak authenticity, only your strongest self. No more fate, only responsibility. Imagine the power in your voice when you stop begging for recognition and start demanding it. Imagine the respect in their eyes when they realize you cannot be manipulated by cheap flattery or empty promises. Imagine the empire you could build if you stopped waiting for the stars and started moving under your own light. This is what Machiavelli understood. This is why his words still echo 5 centuries later, whispered by the powerful and cursed by the powerless. He wasn't giving advice for saints. He was revealing the hidden machinery of power, the truths that society keeps buried, because if too many of you woke up, the game would end. But here you are, awake. And now the choice is yours. Will you keep waiting, or will you act? Will you keep giving respect freely, or will you make them earn it? Will you cling to the weakest version of yourself, or will you forge the strongest? Will you bow to fate, or will you seize responsibility and bend destiny to your will? These are not rhetorical questions. They are the only questions that matter, because the answers will decide whether you live as a pawn or rise as a prince. So, Choose. Choose now. Choose loudly. Drop your declaration, not for me, but for yourself. I reject the lies. I embrace the truths. I take back my power, because the world does not wait, and neither should you. Someone else is already moving, already seizing, already writing their story while you hesitate. And by the time you finish this sentence, they are further ahead. Remember this: power is not inherited, it is not granted, it is not found in waiting, in weakness, or in excuses. Power is taken, always, and those who take it write the future. Everyone else is forgotten. The question is simple: which will you be? Stay here, because the next lesson cuts sharper than this one. And if tonight's truths unsettled you, good. That means the chains are breaking.